Hey, on this episode of The Complete Advisor, we are going to dive into an area we've been talking about, and that is getting in front of prospects in a group setting. There's a couple different ways you can do that. You can do dinner seminars, or you can do workshops. Well, on today's podcast, we have a conversation with Rola Hajeb, and she does a workshop at a local community college. Now, she does several things that really kind of fly into the face of conventional wisdom. But we're going to go. I invite you to join us for this conversation. We've got one of her team members, Kelly, is going to be on. And we're going to walk through setup. We're going to walk through what they do at the event. And then we're going to talk about what happens after the event, follow-up, the whole nine. Heck, we're even going to talk about what time they get there to get things set up. You do not want to miss this. Take a listen. So one of the ways that you've been getting in front of people is you've been doing, is workshops the right word?
I would say yes and no, right? Because it's in a university setting, we found we've tried workshops in different venues, if you will. We tried them in senior centers, right? We tried them in community centers. We've tried them. We wanted to get into libraries, but we don't have the appropriate one around us. So we tried them in colleges, right? And we had success in one of the colleges that's around us, which is, what was the name of the college? Yeah, the Saddleback College.
Oh, Saddleback.
Yeah. So it was successful, but the one that was more successful actually is through the university, and it's continuing education. So we found that this is, for us, worked out the best. We're pulling the right type of client, if you will, right? We like, there's a sweet spot with clients, right? So it seems like we've been pulling the right type for us, for our firm. And then the location is giving us the credibility, if you will, that we need.
So do you get into are you in the catalog, like the continuing education course catalog?
No, no, not at all. What we do is we basically call the university, we decide on dates, and it's a trial and error. I mean, like I was talking with Shopmaker, we found out that in California, in our area specifically, Mondays work best.
Fascinating.
Thursdays don't work, but it took a lot of trial and error.
Sure.
So we call the school and we decide on the days that work out for us, and we book the classroom. Okay?
How far? Well, look, before we get into some of those specifics, tell me philosophically, like your vision for your workshop. Should we call it a workshop? We should call it something
It's just
different.
a class.
Let's call it
I honestly think it's a class, because what I'm doing is I'm actually giving them information. I give them when I have the slides, I've put the slides together, and I basically, what I do is I walk through my whole process of financial planning and distribution. So we talk. So my slides are done in a way where it's giving actual information to the clients.
I like that. I think that top advisors like yourself, it's one thing that I find very much in common is that, and I'm going to paraphrase it, that top advisors have the feeling that what they want to achieve is that no matter what, whether that person becomes a client or not, they're better off having had that conversation with you. I think that's pretty fair, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Look, I'm a firm believer in there has to be a match, right? And if there is a match, you will feel it and they will feel it, right? So, but if not, why not educate somebody? What's the harm in that? There's really no harm.
Referral opportunity too.
Absolutely.
And you make a really good point. I think that's something that for a lot of advisors that are starting in their career where they will take on any client, we all get that part. But if you've got a client that you dread, like, oh, good Lord, here come the Smiths again. It's already 6 months, so they got to come back in. As you get older and more successful and wiser, maybe you just pass on that one because of the heartache and the annoyance and the frustration. But, okay, let me take back a step. So you're looking, And is it a 1 day, 2 day?
It's a 1 day.
1 day. How far out? Okay, so you've got your presentation.
So sorry, just let me back up a little bit. So it is 2 days, but the class is 1 day. So when we book the class, we book it for like Monday, Wednesday, or Monday, Monday. You know, we book 2 sets of classes because when you're doing the ad, you know,
Yes.
on Facebook, when you're doing the ad, you give them a choice of 2 dates.
Sure.
But I've done classes before where we did the class over two times, and they worked out pretty good. But it was more taxing on me, if you will.
Yeah. Tell me why.
Because, you know, you give them homework, and you come back to the same group, right? So you're coming back to the same group. So there's a lot of prep that goes into showing up to class, right?
Sure.
On a lot of levels, on an emotional level, on a actual, you know, physical level, you know, get yourself transported and your staff, you know, over there. So I found out that if you do a really good job without trying to hook anybody, and that is the key I find to good classes, because if anybody gets a whim that's what you're trying to do, then they don't want to do it, you know. So I find that the result is the same with half the time, if you will.
I like it. I also think you probably tell me if I'm way off on this, but when you're doing a two-parter like that, you have to kind of re-warm everybody back up, kind of get them back to where, you know, you may have left on such a high, and you've got to get them back in the mood, if you will.
Some people, they feel, for example, you have this many people showing up the first time, and when you give them homework and to come back, if they don't do their homework, they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
So you lose part
point.
of them. So you lose part of the audience because they didn't have time to do the homework. Oh, we didn't do it, therefore we're not showing up. Or they might be thinking, what's the hook? What's the hook in the next class, right? So they start getting. That's my experience. But
I think that's good feedback. That is, there's additional moving parts you enter into it by doing the two-parter.
Absolutely, and for me, I actually, you know, give them actual actionable items, you know, of what they need to do and how they need to do it during the classroom. So they feel like they're coming in to learn. And then that intrigues them. And then they want to meet with me, right? Because I actually taught them something. I did not leave them on a, cliffhanger? What is it called? Yeah. You know, it's just like, okay, no, I'm actually giving them advice, right?
I love it.
And the whole idea is you want to give them enough advice for them to realize that they shouldn't do it on their own. Just like you just talked about Mount Everest, nobody goes up the mountain without a guide.
That's right.
Right? And this is the rest of their lives, right? So I use examples. Like as I'm talking, you know, I just say, I don't talk very much about myself or anything like that, just a little bit in the introduction. And I tell them, you know, for those of you who you know, want to do it yourself, or be careful of this because I have a client. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of use a little bit of examples. You interject and show them your expertise, right? And what you want to do is you want to show them that you know way more than they do, right? That's a whole idea. But giving them information, because if in the classroom there are people they only want to do it themselves, and you know those people. I don't need to. Then you don't want them to even show up for the initial meeting. I don't want to waste their time or my time, right? So the way I come at it is this: the beginning of the class, tell them, you know, we're doing this class, and this is what I found that to be true. You know, what I found out to be true is that I get some of my best clients through these classes. I'm not hiding that. You know, that's that elephant in the room, right there, right? But they realize is I'm handpicking the clients, right? I'm not like want everybody. And I just tell everybody, you know, fill out the questionnaire, please, because also we need that for compliance. And then I say, if you know, we will not harass you. I will not contact these people, right? Unless they request for us to contact them. And by saying these things and setting it up in a way that, I'm not really dying for your business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You should be. It would be a mutual relationship. You see what I'm saying?
There's a so we had an advisor on here, and he used a phrase I loved. He said, the last thing you want is to have sales breath.
Yes.
Where everyone's avoiding you. Okay, so let's go back. Though. So I'm curious, how far in advance are you scheduling these out, and how did you select the school, the location?
Trial and error.
Trial and error. Okay.
And trial and error, and we have. You have to take a look at your client list and just see where you're pulling, from what city you're pulling in. So we have a lot of clients from Irvine. They tend to be better clients than not. And so I don't know, I read something about UC Irvine so we contacted them. And they're within 20 minutes from our office.
It's a good location too.
Did you guys
it's centrally located?
Did you do a site visit and check out parking and all that?
Yeah, and the parking that's the big problem, because in those kinds of schools at universities, the parking permit is not in the same location.
So visitor parking could be somewhere.
Yeah.
So is that a challenge to the location you have?
It is a big challenge. So what we've done to mitigate this is we've been sending an email out the day before the meeting, the class, and it actually confirmed. It helps with confirmation because you're coming at it from a different angle, and we say, "Can you please let us know if you would like us to get you a parking pass?"
Nice.
Do you see what I'm saying?
That's good thinking.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So this way, if they come and they're frustrated because there's no parking pass, it's on them. We give them the heads up. We offered, to get them the parking pass. So what we do is we go and get the parking passes, and because the class is like at 6:30 p.m. It says at 6:30, from 6:30 to 8. So the building is literally, the parking lot is empty. So anybody who's coming into the parking lot is most probably for this class. So we have someone waiting from our office down there. So you're here for the class. Here's your parking.
I hadn't thought about that until right now, because I've talked to some other advisors that do things on campuses, and it didn't dawn on me, the parking and having to have a permit. That's a great way to get that. Do they set up? So let's talk about ahead of time. How are you advertising the class?
Shopmaker does that for us.
So for those of you who don't know, Shopmaker, he is a creative employee and he works in our marketing department. Are we doing? I know the answer, but I have to ask it for the audience, right?
Absolutely.
Are we doing Facebook, direct mail?
Facebook. We don't do direct mail in California. Direct mail goes into the trash. I mean, none of us. We just open the mail and then trash. They put the trash can right next to the.
I often think when I see the postman, we've got postmen and women that are going house to house in my neighborhood. They're still old school like that. And I just think, I wonder if it's depressing when you're delivering the grocery advertisement and something else, and there's not that much real mail. There's not letters from overseas coming over. It's just like, hey, here's the Ace Hardware ad. I digress. So
normally you get two things nowadays in mail, because everything comes through email. You get bills or advertisement.
Yep.
So some of us we don't even check the mail for a long time, right? It's just the way.
Guilty.
Yeah. So we do Facebook marketing, and we do the full thing where creative does the calling and all of it. So we
Appointment
choose
setting.
that.
Yeah. Someone following up.
Not the appointment setting. No, we don't do the
It's
appointment
confirmations.
Just confirmations of them, the attendance.
setting. Yeah, the attendance.
Okay.
Yes. And then, yeah.
Okay, so that's how we're getting them there. So let's talk about the room setup. So first of all, this would be, since it's at a university, this seems like a no-brainer, but I assume the room is probably set up classroom style?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they provide your visuals?
Yes.
Do you carry backup?
No.
You're trusting them?
We're trusting them because the school is there. the staff is there. As long as the class is on, they're there.
Oh,
They
there's
cannot
someone
leave
there.
you. There's
Yes.
someone there.
Okay. Good.
Worst case scenario, they would either switch classes for you, because everything is so high tech at the university. So I just take my computer and just plug it
in
in,
and go.
and we go. We have not had a problem. They had one time where they had a problem with a screen. So we just changed classes.
You know, I've always had a dream of this is a weird one, but I've always had a dream of doing one. You know, do you remember those old overhead projectors?
Yes.
I don't know why. I just think that'd be fun to do a presentation like that.
We were doing those when we would go to the senior centers, or we'd go to libraries. That's what you have to take in with you. So you would be like, this is why the classroom setting has made it so much easier for us, because you don't have to pack everything in the kitchen sink with it, you know?
Yeah,
So basically with this one, you just show up with my computer, and they even have the clicker. The clicker, I have my own.
Always good to have your own.
Yes, I have my own, even though they have one, but I just, I want to make sure that I have my own. And we just walk in and do that. And, we don't carry that much going into the classroom.
Okay, so it's day of.
Day
of. Question one, since it's 6:30, so what are you doing during the afternoon of the day? Are you running a normal schedule? Are you kind of clearing your headspace for presenting? What are you doing?
Not anymore. I do full day. We do the day off, regular day. We try to be there by 5:30.
Do you go together, or are you the advanced team?
No, we go together.
At the same time.
Okay.
We send somebody else before us to go get the parking passes, and then we get there, and we get set up. I like to see the room. I want to be an hour ahead, try everything, all the technology, make sure everything is working, and sometimes people start trickling in around 6. So when they do, and the way for me to be more comfortable is I talk to people regular, like just whatever, weather, something simple, etc.
Let's talk about. I want to get you in here. So it's you're there at the school. You're checking out IT, making sure everything's running. Registration table. What do you all do there?
Yes. The registration table we usually have out front of the door that they enter the classroom.
You all have like a banner, like Emerald Blue Financial, or?
No, we
They
keep it
actually
kinda-
print the Emerald Blue Advisors, and
There's
they
a-
put it at the door.
Yeah,
Okay.
like a sign on the door to let people know that our class is in that room.
What's the check-in process?
Yeah, so we set up a registration table, and they, will confirm with, their name and make sure that they did sign up,
Name tags?
No,
No.
Okay.
name tags. We keep it pretty simple, and we just welcome them at the registration table. Have them, go take a seat. Like Rilla said, we do have people that come early, so
Sure.
we set up in advance, and we do maybe have our brochure out to show people that they're in the right place, and just greet them and invite them in.
Are you giving them anything, like a folder or anything when they come in? Piece of paper, pens?
We don't, because if they ask for something, then we do have it on hand, but it's not something that we provide.
You don't have a whole stack of stuff.
We
that
found
you-
out that, through trial and error, is that I run it exactly like a classroom. I'm not running it as I'm recruiting you to do business.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm running it that you guys are lucky that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a class that's being offered. Glad you're here. I like the subtle psychology of not providing them something, because that would be it's very subtle, but it's a I'm not trying too hard. I'm glad you're here, but so
So, and that goes also, where we don't have cookies, we don't have water, we don't
That
have
was going to be
anything.
another question. Yeah.
So we had a gentleman walked in the other day, and he goes, "Oh, there are no cookies," and we're like, "No," and I knew immediately this guy will never be a client. Do you see? Because it felt like he was coming in for the wrong reasons, or if you will. I want to attract the ones that they really want to learn, or they want to assess the speaker or the teacher, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, they go to so many, and then, then they say, okay, I feel comfortable with this person. I think this person they know their stuff, right? Because we're talking about things that nobody has talked to them about, right? So when you do investments and taxation of investment, I guarantee you 90% of the advisors have not talked to them about that. So the quality of your slides and what you're saying is also very, very important, right?
So you mentioned that you do, so I've talked to different advisors that like to come in like right at the moment of, at the start, and then others who like to be with the audience, if you will. So when we're going, you're manning, you're up at the table, registering, sending people on in, and then you're hanging out in the room, just chit-chatting with them until go time. Okay. Absolutely. Nice.
It breaks the ice. They get to know you a little bit on a personal level, right? Not just the person. For me, it breaks the ice. And then you figure out who's going to be your friendly audience and who's going to be your, for lack of a better word, your hostile audience, if you will.
Sure. So you already are doing you're already screening.
I'm already assessing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's how you, and then the other thing you have to be careful of also when people are registering, you're going to have advisors that are going to be registering to come see what you're doing.
Do you punt them?
We email them and say, this is not for financial professionals. So this is, and then they don't answer and they don't show up.
Good.
But you have to be careful with that. And then you also have to, you really need to assess the room and who's your audience and how much do they know.
How do you do that?
You just talk to them about what do you do, or, they start saying, oh, we came from this area, or we came from that area.
Sure.
Where do you guys live? Just general, talking.
You're fact-finding the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. People will always tell you. The thing is that this is something I've learned throughout my career, is that the less I talk, the more people will tell me about themselves. People will tell you exactly who they are and what they want. People will always show you. I always tell Kelly, people always show you their colors in one way or another, right?
Sure.
They might do something or say something. I mean, we had and you just say, okay, watch out for this or watch out for that, because you're going to be having like a different kind of people in the room. The fact is, for me, let me give you an example. I had someone who looked like a professional just recently, and he came into the classroom, and he took his computer out and he was taking notes, and he was very very, I don't know, it seemed to me as I'm talking to him, it was a little bit more. I cannot find the word. Maybe critical or something like that. So I was like, so my mind was going. I'm like, I wonder if this is a regulator.
Sure. Yeah, I know
of course.
what you're saying.
But you always have to be. You cannot say the wrong word in these classes. Whether there's someone there or not someone there, you have to be, right on. And then in the middle of the class, he stopped me and he goes, "I'd like to make an appointment with you. Can you give me in the middle of class?
Yes.
Can you give me your phone number? Because I wasn't like, here I am, right in your face,
Yeah.
So, and he turned out to be an attorney, and he actually needed that. Was sweetest human being ever, and it's just like not throwing things in people's faces. In my approach, my opinion makes you more in demand.
Oh, exactly. You're giving off the I'm here, but I don't need you. Like
exactly.
So, question for you. Let's go back a little bit. So, it's go time. Okay. Do you start exactly on time?
Exactly on time.
I love that. Okay, so you're up on stage. or in front of the classroom. Do you use a microphone, or is it just your own voice?
It's a smaller class. We like to keep smaller classes. And I always say at the beginning of the class, like one of the things. So let's say I start talking to people and there are a few people, and then I would say, is there anything specific you would like me to go over today? This is all about you learning. So people will tell me, I'm here for Roth conversion, or I'm here, like I want to learn about this, or about Social Security, or about, so people will tell me what it is, where the pain is, and I can just focus on it.
Exactly.
And then I would pull them into the class, right? So I would, like, as I'm talking, and say, well, you asked about that, and da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? So, and I just say, if you need more information, I'll say, you can talk to me after class.
Love it.
Right? So I'm just showing them I'm accessible. I'm here. I hear you. And it just helped. It's worked out for us.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so hold that thought. So you start exactly on time.
Yes.
What are you doing, right? When she starts, what's going on out at the table?
It depends on, if everyone has checked in by that time, then I will, go in and be in the classroom, sitting in the back. But if they haven't, if we haven't, the people that confirmed, if not everyone has shown up, then I'll wait.
Angry phone calls from Kelly?
Then I just wait outside, and the people, sometimes maybe they, got off work late or something,
Sure.
and they trickle in a few minutes late. So we just wait out there for them to welcome them, still. And I think it disrupts the class a little better, not as much when you say, like, oh, it started, and, they can go on in. And, so we wait for them, and then I'll go in.
Let me ask you this. So I don't have the best memory. And so I do like to take notes. So when you're profiling this entire time, are you marking stuff down like, okay, the gal in the green jacket, blah, different notes, like those different things that you see? Or is that something maybe I'm jumping ahead, is that something you do after, like a post-game type of thing?
Yeah, after, I think.
But Kelly she's minimizing what she does because
She is. I can tell.
Because what she does is she sits in the class and she's scanning everything from body language to comments to so when right after the classroom, then she would say when she gets the evaluations, so she will take the evaluations and she would write the name on a like a notepad, and she would write something about them, like
Observations.
Observations.
Because there are those factual things like, okay, your Roth account has X amount of dollars. Don't mention blank. Like there are those things, or this really resonated with them. So let's go back let's talk a little bit about presentation and what you're looking for. So you've been doing a great job already. The fact-finding process has started while you're presenting. Before you're presenting, now it's presenting time. Tell me a little bit about like things as you're presenting that you're looking for, and how do you build engagement? How do you handle things if somebody starts going down a rabbit hole? I don't know if you all use the phrase rabbit hole in California, but we do here in Kansas. So if somebody tries to take you off and derail things.
Sure. So during the class, you always want to find the warm body, the warm person, right? And then you kind of connect with them, and then you connect with there, and then you move on to the next, and then you have to do the eye contact basically with each and every one of them, and then you're going to see the ones who are going to be in agreement. They shake their heads. They literally sit there, and if you talk about something that they're very interested in, so that's something that is we know this person is engaged. I pull the attendees in couple of ways. I do questions that are about, for example, what's the highest tax rate historically, and what year was that? And then I do a couple of those. And now with my book, I used to give the as a for somebody who answers it correctly or the closest one. I used to get those gold chocolate coins.
Oh, yeah.
And put them in a little sash bag, a couple of them. And whoever answers it the closest, I would give them one of those, right, as a gift. It breaks the ice in the class, believe it or
And who
not.
doesn't like chocolate?
And who doesn't like chocolate? Now I'm giving out my book.
You mean this book?
That book.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about that on another episode. But,
Yes.
Okay, so they get a copy of the book. You're engaging that way. How do you handle? Do you
And
take?
then-
Yeah, go ahead.
And then, so sorry, but I was just, so now that's the friendly audience, right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
where you're going right where I want to go.
Yes. Now let's talk about the hostile ones.
There's been a couple.
So I've had a couple. The lady was very interested, and the husband was being like very rude, if you will. It keeps interrupting, So I stopped after about a few times he did that, I stopped the class and I said, "Is there a question you would like me to answer for you?" And the wife looks at him, she goes, "He keeps talking to me." And I'm like, this is, like I said, this class is interactive. Please go ahead and ask me the question. I stopped that kind of,
Yes.
that kind of stopped it, right?
Yes, she does.
Control.
She does
You
control
have to
the
maintain.
class, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think once people see that, if it happens, then they step back, and it doesn't happen for the rest of the class.
I think a lot of advisors, when they do presentations early in their careers, people are so hesitant because everyone is a potential client, and so sometimes people they err on the side of not offending, not realizing that if you don't nip that in the bud, it's gonna sour everybody. It's gonna ruin the experience for everyone else that's there, because you don't probably want that guy as a client anyway.
I do not want him as a
Yeah.
client, that's for sure. And then also, he's interrupting for other people. And
Exactly.
I'm just trying to tell him, it kind of gives us the credibility without being rude, right? But also, like, I had somebody the other day in the class, and when we talked about the highest tax rate historically, and then he started arguing with me about do you remember that?
Yes.
It's like about the fact that how much money, and then it's the top tax bracket, and I'm like, it is a fact.
Yeah.
You can check it on Google. I'm not making that up, and it's worth noting, these types of facts when it comes to taxes.
Yeah.
You can make a decision. If you think, if you think taxes are going to be lower in the future, please go ahead and plan accordingly for yourself. But if some of us don't think that way, and history always repeats itself, right?
Absolutely.
I just basically, he was like wanted to argue with me for the sake of arguing. I mean, I wasn't saying anything that was not factual, right? So you have to stick to facts, right? The other thing that I do is when I feel like I'm losing the class, because it's overwhelming and it is, it's not fun, right? So I will stop the class. When I start seeing losing people, I will stop the class. Okay, guys, look, I really want to apologize for how dry and boring this material is. So I had, so they start laughing. I had nothing to do with it, and
Sure.
I just said, and I always just say, I said, these IRS rules, I don't know, how they were, what they were on when they were, because it's just so different,
Sure.
so dry, and
There's so much, yeah.
there's so much. And I just say, you can't really make this stuff up. So they laugh, break them, and I just say, and then we go back. When I break the class like that, and I joke a lot, I tend to throw jokes here and there, it gets them involved. It's not so dry, right? So
They get to see the real world.
yeah. So they get to see, because you want to make sure that you're attracting, birds of a feather flock together. You want to attract people that you want. That you want to attract.
You'd want to spend time with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a lot of work, because I tell, when they do come to the office, you just let them know. You know that I know. My stuff. You know that I'm, and that the whole thing is that you want to make sure that you like working with me, you want to work with me, and that's vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I say.
You have a questionnaire. When does that come out? And how do you introduce it?
I just said, Kelly just because I'm going to forget. So Kelly just showed, back
In
of
the back
the room.
of the room,
You're
waving
waving.
it.
You're waving. So you're getting ready to land the plane, and you're waving in the background like, "Hey, right? We need to do this." So,
Yeah.
how do you introduce it? How do you get it back?
Sure. So that when we go to the slide that says questions, and I'm just telling everybody, does anybody have any questions? By the way, I would have answered a lot of questions,
So you will
Joy.
take questions as long as it doesn't go too long.
I always tell them this is interactive. If you have a question, stop me. Because this is for you to learn. This is about you. I am not there. You see what I'm saying? So from the beginning, I'm involving them in the class. And if it goes a little, I want them to stop me and I want them to ask me, because then I know where the pain is, number one. Number two, then I can say, let me talk to you more detail after class because I need to find out some
Sure.
specific information. I just set myself up. This is a new person that I'm going to be talking to. So, and they do. They all line up at the end. They stand in line to talk to me, right?
That's interesting. So I did talk to somebody else that does a classroom style, and he makes them stay seated. He just says if you can stay seated. That's interesting. We'll talk about that after. A little compare contrast.
Yeah. My style, I think, is a lot more free-flowing,
Sure.
if you will. But that comes also with my personality, right?
Exactly.
Because it's just
Exactly.
so for me, it's just like I like the attendees to feel that this is about them, not about me, right? That's my whole idea, right?
Yeah.
It's about you, not about me.
That's what I love about these conversations is every advisor does things a little bit different, and it does match their style. So you mentioned, so you say if you have questions, we'll do questions, but there is what do we call it?
Survey.
A survey. And this is how please let me know. Can you please fill it out? We need it for two reasons. We need it for compliance, see who attended, and also that's how I make sure that I can I can do better.
Sure, getting your feedback.
Give me a feedback. Let us know how we can do better. People have no issue at all filling out the questionnaire. And we don't tell them, leave your information, but what I tell them is this, if you want, because they ask me for the slides, right? So I would just say, they ask for a copy of the slides, and I say, we can't, I actually cannot give them out because of, compliance reasons, but if there's a specific thing that you want more information on, please write it on the survey, right?
Nice.
And I will go ahead and you can
Provide
we can
the email.
Sure.
Yeah. So we don't ask anybody to put their name down, to put their phone number or anything like that at all. They do it on their own.
I got to ask you then. So do you introduce is it early when you introduce who you are that you say I work with people on these topics? Where do you subliminally or not subliminally put in the fact that if you want to meet with me, you can? How do they get that message?
So I don't. So what I do is during the class, okay, I'm using examples. So we're talking about Roth conversions, let's say. So, for example, this is when you want to do a Roth conversion. You want to do it when for example, the holding itself. So I'm talking about the difference between a mutual fund and between actual holdings of stocks.
Sure.
So then I would say, for example, we just did a Roth conversion this morning for da-da-da-da-da. So I'm just showing them our expertise, subliminal, like you said, without me going and saying, come be my client, but I'm talking to them how I treat my clients, what I'm doing for my clients, right? I use it as an example. So I teach them the fact, and then I use an example to explain it a little more.
To kind of drive home and show that you can do that. So wow, this is very subtle.
It's
What
very
you're doing
subtle.
is very, very subtle. So so when they return it, when they return the comment, the questionnaire, are they walking out of there with anything that has your contact information, or are they walking out with anything?
Sure. Most of them will ask for, do you have a business card that and we do. We bring them with us in case someone does want to, to contact. And also, you have put up there, Rolla does put up like her email. If people are like, "Can we have your
Gotcha.
email?" She puts it on the board, so then people can write it down and contact us that
You're
way.
walking up and writing it on the board.
When they ask.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
When you do not put yourself out there,
Sure.
then they're more curious,
Yeah.
right? So I'm coming across as I am the instructor for the class, and I'm just doing this. And, now it's like, okay, can we get your information? They will stop me in the middle of the class and say, especially the ones that come in later, and then ask me for my email address. So I'll just write it on the board.
I like that. It does make sense. It's very counterintuitive. It's very different than anything that these folks would have seen had they gone in somewhere. They would have, this contact me here, sign up for an appointment here. This is very much a
Yeah.
this.
I don't
I
have
guess
a-
I could work with you.
I don't have a calendar. I have nothing. Like nothing. We do not. The image that we're giving is we're not after you. This is who we are. This is what we know. This is what we can do for you, for out there. But
In that case, what do you put out as the reason you're doing the class?
so when I would, I just say it right up at the beginning. I just say I enjoy teaching. I want to get, I wrote, now I talk a little bit for a minute about my book, and in all honesty, I get some of my best clients through these classes.
I love it.
I'm out there not hiding or anything like that.
Yeah.
How do you wrap up because if you're there to take questions and you take questions, you could be there for quite a while. Do you have a time limit on the building, and then that's kind of a, hey, we gotta go kind of?
Sure. So, everything is very specific, as you know, in our situation. So they come out and they ask me about whatever it is. And I would just say, well, there is this that can be, but I really cannot give you a definitive answer unless I know,
Sure.
the full
I know more.
situation. So why don't you just come in and talk, talk to Kelly, schedule a time to come in, and we can go over this stuff. And they'll go ask Kelly, is there a charge for example? I don't go into the money, I don't go into anything, and
Yeah.
I just,
It'll come back to me.
So do you? How often do you set appointments right there? Does that happen, or do you just you don't have
No,
to count?
we don't do that.
Golly.
We they do want. They say, okay, here's my on this survey. Here's my contact information. Please contact me. Do you have a business card? So we exchange information, and then then we contact them, follow up, and
there you go.
And then
Okay, so last guest leaves. Go ahead.
in my opinion, if I would have had a calendar there,
Yeah.
I would have lost them.
Then they would feel like they're like, aha, there it is. That's what
There it is.
That's what I've been waiting for. God, I love it. Okay, so last person leaves the room. It's just the two of you. So then
Three. We have another.
the third person who comes in from the parking. They came in,
Yes.
they were out in the parking. So you all sit down together and have a little chit chat, like kind of catch notes, or how do you do that?
So for a while, Kelly and I would go out and have a glass of wine and talk about it. But we got it to a point where now we wait till the next morning, and Kelly gives me the evaluations. And I like to take them home and read them and just take a look at what it is. And the next day, Kelly would, and I and Nas, we would sit down and we would go over, and everybody has an observation, whether it's body language or whether it's comments or whether somebody was interested or not, on their phone or whatever it is. So I don't have those problems very much, but just in case. And then we go over them, and Kelly says, okay, I'm contacting these people first because they raised their hand. They were very, very interested. So
or talk to them after the class, and they said, please,
Yeah.
So the process, let me ask you about process then next day. So you've walked through, you've talked about everybody, and you do have their contact information because you had to let them know about parking and these different things. And you've got your notes, and then you've got the folks that did say they wanted to be contacted. So the process starts, so the first thing you're doing is, what do you all send out? Just like a thank you?
Thank you email. Yeah. Thank you for attending the class. Per your request, wanted to be contacted to set something up, and
We do not contact anybody who did not request a meeting.
yes.
We will not.
I love it. So then, if they don't sign up for something, they go into maybe a drip system, or you just cut bait.
They just got
Cut bait.
some good information.
You know, I had a person who, Kathy, I don't know how she came to us. So she came, she had a meeting with us, and she left.
Yeah.
And we never contacted her or anything like that. She came back a year later. A year later, she called us and she came back in. And she said to me, "How come you never contacted me?" And that's what attracted her back to us. Because she kept attending all these meetings and everybody is hounding her.
Sure.
And we're the only ones that did not hound her. So in her opinion, we elevated ourselves. We were the ones that were different than everybody else.
Exactly.
So she had the feeling that, oh, she's not desperate, so she must be really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some weird way. And then she came back.
No, it makes
to us.
sense.
Yeah.
Not weird at all.
Yeah.
Not weird at all.
So for us, it works with the image that we're trying to project, being the boutique, type of investment advisory firm. I also talk about things in the classroom, like I was telling you, the content that they've never heard before, right? About income planning. So we do the income options, and I go from everything from dividend income to annuity income to dividend income, etc. So we go through, closed-end funds, high yield, etc. And then I talk about something that is way over their head. I talk about covered calls.
There you go.
And cash covered puts. And by talking about for me, that's when the eyes, I know they're not getting anything I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's just showing them my expertise.
Yeah.
The other thing I would talk to them about in the class, and I would just say, do me a favor, when you go home today, do this, for instance. Go home and take a look at your 401k statement and see if you have company stock in there. You might have a tax break inside that you can, if you do have that one, talk to your financial person, your accountant, or you can contact my office. Do you see what I'm saying? So I am going over there. I'm giving them actionable item. I'm telling them, if you have a stock inside, your 401k, you might have a tax break there. And I guarantee you, nobody's ever said that to them.
Yeah.
But I'm pointing something out to them that they can take home. And I say, and I write it down, like net unrealized appreciation. We can talk about that if you have it. I'm not going to talk here about, to the whole class because it's not applicable to everybody. But make sure you do check that out, right?
That's brilliant, because we're always, one of the things we're always doing is putting those subtle wedge points in there, those little bit of wedges of like, wait, why didn't Kelly talk to me about NUA?
Yeah.
Does she know? I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so off the wall question. In your experience, what would be something, as you look back through trial and error, what would be something that, and I want you to think about this too, Kelly, because I'm coming your way next. What would be something that you tried that you thought would just kill it and be awesome, and it didn't get the response you wanted? Or maybe the flip of that, like something that you didn't think was that big of a deal, but you're like, wow, people really gravitate towards that.
People gravitate towards them being pushed away. It's a very interesting concept. I use that in my meetings. I use that, there's no decision you need to make. I will not be contacting you, etc. So if you like what you hear and you want, it's the push away, I guess. I want to say that the biggest, one of the biggest things that we tried and did not work out for us was the senior centers, the location and the community, community centers.
Community centers.
that did not work for us. It came across as we're selling, right?
Yeah.
So and then the other thing that we took a chance on is we have no water, we have no drinks, we have no, that really worked for us. This is a class. You're coming here to learn. I'm giving you my time. I'm giving you our time, and that's what you're gonna get because that is enough. We don't need to, sugarcoat it. This is it. You see, when we moved away from being way too nice and taking the folders, the other thing is that worked against us was giving them folders with all of our information. That was way too costly in so many ways, not only monetary, but it came across salesy, right? So if you're going to class, you should bring your paper to take notes with you. We'll have few of our, like notepads with our name on it, but we will not offer it, right? We'll have it. Somebody says, "Is there, paper or something?" Yes, we'll give them a paper and a pen. We'll have it with us, but I am not putting it. This is free. This is, here, take this, take this. No, that's I think what has been making us a little bit more, more successful at this.
Yes.
I mean, we've had a good ratio. I mean, we don't have, remember, in California, people don't do as much, they don't go to workshops or things like
with
that.
With your guys' traffic, I wouldn't even leave the house.
Exactly. But we've been having almost 80%, 90%, 100% requests for appointment.
That's unbelievably awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kelly, you've had the luxury of pondering for a few moments. So something that you didn't think was going to be that big of a deal, but people seem to really gravitate towards, or something that you thought was going to be awesome and it crashed and burned. Either one of those.
I like to stay on the positive side, so
okay.
I'm going to say that I thought when Rilla had the idea of the chocolate coins, and I think I'm going to ask a question and give something a little, as here's your reward for answering the question and participating. I thought, okay, that might be okay. But when the people got so excited, they got something, and it also they got to see her having fun with it, and I think it sparked their attention more, and they thought it was just that we were handing them $1 million. They thought it was just like, oh, and then they lit up when you were handing them these chocolate coins, And so I had to say, wow, that was a really good idea because they really liked it. So
it's so interesting what resonates.
It's breaking. You cannot be monotone. I walk a lot. I walk through the class. I'll get closer to somebody, and then I use somebody as an example, saying, okay, so I'm trying to make them be pulled into it because the material is so dry.
Sure.
And that's what I tell everybody. I'm so sorry for how dry this material is, but we're going to try and make it more fun, right? Yeah. So I think by breaking, interjecting, whether it's a little joke here or coins or so one point we were giving our wine.
We gave like a
tumblers, with our name on it, and everybody starts looking like, what are you giving? What are you giving?
How do I get one?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So then everybody's like interested. So it kind of keeps the class going, and that's. I mean, I've been lucky that we've been getting very good reviews, but I think it's, really, really, really. When I started with American Express years ago, they sent us to American Express University before they became Ameriprise. Anyway, so one of the things we were taught is body language. So you have to be really, and they drilled it in our heads, right? Because it's really important to read body language. Just when you start seeing the classroom getting, like the energy going down, you have to think and do something to bring it up. Right, to bring the energy up. Whether it's saying I'm sorry for how dry this material is, or whether that time you do the question or something like that, or you bring people into the conversation. I think it keeps it going.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah,
breaking mindsets and getting them to refocus. Okay, one, I disagree with something you did just say a second ago, though.
Which is?
You said, I've been very lucky. And I don't believe, we make our own luck through preparation. We make our own luck through our expertise and our study and just being good at what we do. So I disagree with you on that. You're not lucky. You created those situations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I would like to thank you both for being on here. This has been a fantastic episode. This is going to help a lot of advisors. A lot of things to think about, especially, you're doing some things very subtle that are just killing it and that are different. And so I'm really excited to hear everybody's reactions. So for those of you out there listening or watching, because you can catch it just about anywhere, I'd love to know what you thought. I love those comments, and we respond to them. So if you get a chance, also don't forget to like and subscribe. Or if you're on Apple, I didn't know this, but on Apple you actually hit follow, not subscribe.
Awesome.
So hit them all. Hit all of them. But thank you so much for being on. And
one last thing I
yes.
would like to say. Every advisor should do what resonates with them because it comes out natural. Right. So when we try to, throughout my whole career, I've been trying, what's this person doing? What's that person doing? You have to take from for example, if they're going to take anything from me, something that resonates with them. That it comes from the heart, it comes from the gut, it comes natural.
yeah.
I guess that would be my advice for everybody.
That's great advice, because we do have to, no matter what we see, we can only, at some point, if it's not something that resonates with us or fits who we are, it's going to come across as fake. And clients and prospects will pick that up, and they'll just know intuitively.
So you took what I said and you made it even way better.
I did not. That is not true. Okay, I could keep this episode going for like hours, but we're going to wrap. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all on the next episode.